we are playing Vampire the Masquerade, which means that it is a very dark game set in the world of darkness. So this game will deal with mature themes. Please decide for yourself if this is something you want to watch or not. We hope you do, because we have a lot of fun doing this, and we are very happy to have you here with us checking this out. Without further ado, as they say, a little recap. When last we saw our coterie last week, a bunch of things had happened. Desmond and Elise had made their way down into the underworld and had gone to meet a La Sombra named Vico, who turned out to have a painting that everyone had been looking for, and the painting turned out to be of Elise, interestingly enough. And the two of them also then encountered a ghost from Elise's past, a man, an old man in a wheelchair who called her his love, and she seemed quite distraught to see him. So we'll find out more about that a little bit later tonight. Meanwhile, Margot and Fiona are still investigating the 23 women, 3 men that were found in a warehouse, all still alive, but in some weird, strange state of stasis or coma or something to that effect. And the only thing that really kind of marks them apart is that they all have this strange black inverted pyramid tattoo on their arm. Yes, the mature content warning is a lure. I'd like to bring the people over. Our kind of people, the kind of people that come over for arm rail shake. Yes, JD turned red. He's just sitting in a pool of blood. And after investigating that particular little warehouse, they got together and started looking for some information. And they found out that they talked to the technician who had made the infrared camera for whoever has been doing that. And they also managed to find a picture of the person who had been hauling those bodies into the warehouse, and they were not very happy with what they saw. Look kind of like JD right now, actually. Look at that. Tell me that that's JD. I think you should be investigating JD.
Is JD my boyfriend?
And yeah, I think JD did it.
I could be, Bones. I could be.
Possibilities are endless.
The possibilities over here, my friends, are indeed endless. And so, with all that said and done, let's begin tonight's little session, which picks up immediately at the end of last session. First, a little ditty by Emily Dickinson, who was a very cheerful poet. Wrote a lot of very cheerful, uplifting poetry. Remorse. Is memory awake? Her company's astir, a presence of departed acts at window and at door. Its past set down before the soul and lighted with a match, perusal to facilitate of its condensed dispatch. Remorse is cureless. The disease not even God can heal. For 'tis his institution, the complement of hell. In the bar where you find yourselves, Margot and Fiona, you've been making calls, trying to get some information. Fiona, Costa, the Brua, got back to you, said he had some information that he got that you would want to hear, and ask whereabouts the two of you should meet. Invited him here, I do believe, to the bar to meet you, since talking on the phone is not...
Yeah, we don't talk on phones.
We don't talk on phones, and we don't talk to cops. Neither or. Whilst you are waiting, having another drink and waiting for Costa to present himself, tell us a little bit about sort of what's going on with each of you right now. What's going through your mind? We know that, Margot, you had seen a video of a very elaborate setup of someone who went through the trouble of finding someone who looks like someone you care about and setting up a mock apartment that looks exactly like theirs. and put them under surveillance, basically as a way of telling you that they knew about this person and that this could happen anytime. And as for you, Fiona, you've been dealing with a lot of information coming in from the political side of things, from your contact, Chris Stockner, about this going probably very high to the very top politically. So how about we take a moment here for the two of you to tell us a little bit about what's going through your minds. Whoever wants to go.
I feel like Margot's mind is just racing of all the possibilities of who this person could be. If they are close enough to her or powerful enough compared to her to know exactly who this person that she looks after is, and how intertwined it is with Fiona's issue.
And I think for Fiona's part that the conversation with Gaspar is getting her gears going, and she's keen to find out why and how this is all correlated with what's happening in the city.
And as the two of you are sitting there stewing on all this and running things through your head, you notice a breaking news report on the television. Apparently, there was just hours ago a fire in the east end of Montreal at one of the old refinery warehouses. The fire was currently being contained, and what's kind of striking about it as you listen to the news reports that are coming in about it is that some of the people in the neighborhood say they saw a lot of people milling about the warehouse and the area before it started, and some people even said that they were fighting. The police are currently investigating. Another report that comes on the heel of it is that 2 paramedics were assaulted and apparently kidnapped by a gang a few blocks away from where this all took place. Police could not immediately say whether the 2 incidents were related, but as this is going on, you get a glimpse of the new police captain that was recently put into place, as she gives a terse no comment and refers the reporters to the PR branch of the MUC, the Montreal Urban Community Police. You get your first look at this very young woman that came out of nowhere to become police chief. You realize, Fiona, that for all your knowledge of insider politics, the police force and everything, you knew you'd never really heard of her, but you realized you'd never seen her either. That in itself is something for you to consider and think about as you go on. But right now, as this news report is filing on the television in front of you, you get a text message. It says simply, "Call home."
The bar that we're in is a regular place of ours, correct? Or is this the one that...
You're at the Beef Tech, which is just like a dive bar on Saint Laurent Street.
Would I know the bartender?
You tell me.
I mean,
is this the kind of place that you would hang out at? Is this,
I'm presuming that that it's between this and the Cabana? The Copa?
The Copa.
So,
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you know the bartender for sure.
I like lean over the bar and I just snap and I go, "Give me your phone."
Don't take it away this time. I still need it. Puts it on the bar.
And pick it up and I just dial in.
You dial into the number, and when you do, you get a recorded message. It is a message for you, as it begins with, "Wolf, this is Hummingbird." Now, you know that Hummingbird is one of 2 of your almost said lower level employees, but they're not in the inner circle. They don't know about vampires. They're not ghouls. They're just some of the folks that work for you on the fringes of your organization. Now, they're videographers, so they usually will be assigned to show up whenever there's police action or a protest or sitting or things like that, and just to film. Like, they're there basically just to film, to make sure that whatever the cops do gets taken, gets filmed, and also just to provide footage of people and things of that nature. So they're like two of your little videographers that, you know, go to these places and do things like that for you. So the one that is contacting right now is Chantal. Chantal and Bindu are their names, and they're both called Hummingbird. The message for you is this. The fire erupted from a fight between two groups of people. One side appeared to be just normal people. The other side appeared to be high-tech hunter squads. They were dressed like paramilitary units and had paramilitary weapons. We're still collecting info and trying to get a drone out there, but it's near the military base. We might not be able to get a drone close enough. Want us to get eyes on it or to hunker down? 1 for go, 2 for no.
Kato knows who these people are. Does Fiona know who these people are?
Well, you've just talked to Gaspar, who told you that there was a new unit in town that you'd heard about before, a surveillance unit. The ones that you had known were, people were calling them Section 13, and they were supposedly working for the government. What Gaspar told you last time was that they are not, in fact, working for the government, but they have government approval for doing their work, and that they have a shield emblem as their symbol on their stuff.
And it was 1 for go, 2 for hunker down?
It was 1 for go, 2 for no.
Ah, shit. We gotta go 1.
What's going on?
We got some fucking trouble.
Sorry, so you give them 1 means that you want them to try and get more footage. 2 means no, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I'm going more footage.
Okay, so you say 1. You push 1. No problem.
Do you need some help?
That I've got an inkling that faction that's got military clearance is well, I guess they started a fire and a fight.
So you want some help?
Well, yeah, I'd appreciate some fucking help.
Yeah, no problem.
I've got a meeting first.
You want me to tag along?
Stay close.
Yeah.
This guy comes across as helpful and buttoned up, but I think he might be kind of a fuck. So I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, which could be about 5 feet with a good foothold.
Well, we could make that entertaining and just probably make some money off of bets, but I understand what you mean.
No.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of a itchy feeling in the back of my throat that perhaps these kids that I just sent off to go get more footage might not come back, but if these are who we think they are, then it's probably for the best that we get we get whatever we can.
I'm going to make a wild assumption that these kids in your employ are not like us, then?
Certainly not, nor do they know about us.
Well, I'm sure you've given them at least an inkling as to what the fuck they're getting into, and they understand the risk associated with that.
Well, they know it's not exactly the weather report or the latest traffic news.
Yeah, well, you sort of give up your safety in this kind of biz.
That's right. Seems to be more and more so that way.
Yeah, I think both of us are sort of looking at some meat hooks to string us up.
You know how you said that if you didn't find that guy, you were worried that you might be dead?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that ripple effect might be permeating, if you catch my drift. This all feels very targeted.
Listen, Fiona, all these years have passed between us. I'm not backing down if you're not backing down.
Well, if I recall correctly, you're not so bad at handling a Molotov cocktail yourself, so.
I've had some practice.
Damn right you have. Brick through the window and everything. Proud of you.
These days it's more of beating somebody with a baton, but, you know, same effect.
Still fucking sexy. And I give her like a little flick under the chin.
You better stop that. Listen.
I never will. You know that? You know I never will.
I think she kind of turns back to her drink and has a very rare chuckle from her, but she shakes her head and says, listen, if we go down together, right?
Laverne and Shirley, Thelma Louise.
Something like that, right? Yeah. Listen, this guy you're meeting, he doesn't know who I am, does he?
No, he doesn't.
All right. Good. Element of surprise. If he's gonna fuck you over, you'll figure it out pretty quick.
I imagine so, but he's got a fair amount of influence, and it's folks that we'd like on our side.
Yeah, but I'm an outsider. She goes sideways, you know.
Well, no matter how far outside you are, you're still one of us.
Yeah, that's true. Look, I'm not gonna throw him into a corner and make him squeal like a piggy, but a certain level of intimidation, I think, is good for the soul.
Yeah, like I said, you're pretty good at that.
Yeah. I got my skill set. Look, is he, he's coming here?
That's right. Should be here soon.
Right. Well, another round.
I'll drink to that.
As you're getting your second round, or actually at this point probably third or fourth, you do see Costa pulling up. He comes up and he walks past the bar and then stops and then turns around and then kind of looks up, and then as if he's never been here in his life before, walks in. He's got his usual nice, very sober little black suit. Steps in, looks around. Easy, comes on over.
This guy.
Hi. I've never been here before. It's very, very interesting. You hang out here a lot?
Sure. Costa, this is Margot. Margot Costa. You're mutual associates.
Ah, the Black Angel, the famous Black Angel. So honored to meet you. And he extends a hand.
You see Fiona like go wide-eyed, like, the fucking fuck? Oh, fuck.
She kind of just looks at his hand. How the fuck do you know who I am?
Everyone knows who you are. Well, not exactly who you are, but what you do.
That's pretty fucking unfortunate these days. She takes his hand and kind of gives it a little too much of a squeeze as she shakes it.
Ooh,
Ooh, sorry. Yeah, okay. I can tell.
No problem. He sits down. Do you think I could get an Aperol?
I think you could probably get a tequila or a beer.
Fine. Tequila is fine. I have some news for you. Any new developments I should be aware of, first off, or?
Fiona takes a sweep around the bar. Does she pick up on anybody listening to the conversation right now?
Go ahead and give me a little look-see. Gonna give me your your wits and awareness. You're all lucky we don't have to do rouse checks since it's the same night.
Thank God for that.
Okay, I've got my little cheat sheet up. I've got 3 successes, and it looks like I've got a messy critical on it because I've got an onk with the 2 pips. But
You need to have 2 onks.
So I've got 2 black onks, no pips, and I've got 1 red onk with 2 pips.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it's
so that's 3
critical.
10s. So yeah, that's a messy critical. How are we feeling tonight? Are we feeling messy critical or are we feeling night move? I think Varl popped the night moves in chat here a second ago. You are sitting on 2 night moves. Elise 2, Fiona 2, Desmond 3 because he's a hoarder, and Margot 3.
Shit. No, let's roll with it. Let's keep the messy critical.
All right. You look around the bar looking for to see if anyone's paying attention to you and not. And no, there's no one that is really paying attention that you can notice. It's people are minding their own business, heads down. The Habs lost tonight, so people are pretty down in the dumps about it. They lose every night, but they just.
With 3 successes, would I be able to glance up at cameras as well and see where they are?
Yeah, there are no cameras inside the bar except immediately over the cash.
Yeah, Fiona's no fucking idiot, so she takes a look around. Well, Costa, it seems that there's a spot of trouble. What neighborhood was this brawl in?
That was in the East End, Montreal East, so near the port.
Okay.
The East End is like this land of refineries and mines and row housing and stuff like that. It's basically the Gary, Indiana of Montreal. Nowhere near as bad as Gary, Indiana, because nothing is.
Girl. Looks like there was a spot of trouble over on the East End. Some regular type folks up against some sort of military class out there. There was a fire that broke out.
Oh, really?
A couple paramedics got jumped in the process. They think it might be connected.
Nothing that you were involved with?
This was not sanctioned by Fiona. None of this was sanctioned. This is all, everything she just found out is what she just found out.
Yeah.
These aren't my folks, but I've got people on the ground.
Okay. Well, it sounds interesting. Do let me know if anything more soon develops from that. I do have some stuff for you. Noble, the fundraiser is over. You can always donate to St. Jude whenever you want, but the fundraiser is in fact over. I'm very sorry for that. He says, right, so as I suggested I would, I talked to Adelaide, the Malkavian Primogen who runs the Douglas Mental Health Institute. She had a look at some of the victims that you found in the building. As far as she's concerned, she's pretty definite that their minds were not affected by any sort of kindred power.
The fuck?
However, she recognized the triangle mark. She said that over the last few weeks, they've had a couple of patients brought in by cops at the Douglas. Full-blown paranoia, dementia, talking about all sorts of weird stuff, the Pyramid Project, Arcadia, the Olympics, just all sorts of random weirdness. But they had the marks, the same marks that your victims did. They still have one of these people at the Douglas. One they had to let go, but they still have one, and they'll hold her for you if you want to come by and have a chat with her. Apparently she's a little bit out of her mind, but if you want, the offer's there.
Fiona glances sidelong at Margot and just says, "You up for a field trip?"
Yeah, I want to talk to her.
Mm-hmm. Right. I guess we got to get to the Douglas.
My car's just out front if you want.
What do you drive?
Just I don't know, a car.
Like a
Is it flashy?
No, it's got a big motor in it. It's like a Hemi or something.
Jesus fucking Christ!
So
You
it's
call
fucking
yourself
flashy.
a fucking bro.
Hey, What do you want? What? 'Cause I don't know cars. Like
No, let's go get in the
Yeah.
fucking car. And she slams some cash on the bar and goes, thanks, and slides the phone back across.
I think Margot looks at Fiona. Nobody drives a Camry anymore. Just a regular sedan. Just a good old Toyota.
There's still a lot. I see them a lot on the street. It's just that, you're dead for a while. You amass money and might as well, get yourself a nice set of wheels. I mean, I didn't pick this. Someone did, but
Just get a
Drives
reasonable a Honda. A Honda's good too. It just makes no sense. Inconspicuous. I would like to be inconspicuous.
when you get out there, he's got a Dodge Charger.
This fucking joker. Anyway,
What's the fucking APR on that one?
I
Jesus
swear to God, I'm gonna
Christ.
stick a fucking knife through
Oh
the-
my God, is that all you guys do? You're like some kind of cop buddy duo on TV or something. Get in the car.
Is it a 4-door or 2-door?
It's 4-door.
Okay, thank God. 'Cause if it was a 2-door, I was about to kneecap this fucker.
Yeah, I think Margot gets in the back.
You get in the car with him. As you start driving off, the dulcet tones of Yanni live at the Acropolis start to fill the car from the CD player.
You just see Fiona immediately flat palm slam the power button on the radio.
Thank
Not a lover of music, are you?
God.
Drive the fucking car.
All right. And as he does, driving you over to Villemard, which is on the other side of the downtown area from where you were, we cut on over to an apartment in the Argent Hotel that is owned by Vico, the La Sombra. And there we find Desmond and Elise, along with Vico and an old man in a wheelchair, whose name is Austin Osmond Spare, and that doesn't mean much to you, Desmond. But as you watch Elise and Spare's interactions, it's clear that there's something there, something very old, very strong. But you have no clue who this guy is. It's kind of strange. He's, as I mentioned earlier, human. He's not a ghoul or a vampire. What's going through both Desmond's mind as you're watching this, and then also Elise, because we didn't get much of a reaction from Elise last time because I did my usual cock bleak and we cut away. So let's get into that. Let's see how everyone's feeling.
Desmond is thinking that whatever is happening here between Elise and this man, it is none of their business. They are just here to ensure that Elise makes it back safely, if at all possible. And so unless this interferes with this, it is of no note to him. He is trying to give Elise her space to process whatever she needs to process.
And what is Elise processing?
A fucking lot. Yeah, she's collapsed at the feet of this man. Is where we left off from last episode, and she's looking up to him in a slew of emotions are read in just big bold letters across her face. There's confusion, surprise, and a touch of fear. And I think as she looks up to him, she had questioned him, who did this to you? And when she says this, I would like to use Scry the Soul on him, if I could.
Absolutely. Tell me about it.
Yes. All right. Scry the Soul. By focusing on a person, the vampire can perceive the state of that person's psyche as a shifting aura of colors. Auras reveal little precise information, but do provide clues regarding many subjects, emotional state, resonance, supernatural traits. If looking for a specific condition, the vampire can cursorily scan the crowd to detect it. So basically, I can do my rouse check first. Let's start there.
It's the same night. Do you have to? Oh no, rouse for the power. Never mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And I failed that, so I'm at 2 hunger now. Beautiful. Love that. And we will roll for it. That is that's 6 successes.
What kind of successes, though? Let's get into that.
I'm clear on it. No, I'm clear. Mm-hmm.
So you'll see a mixture of emotions, and just so that you don't feel that I've forgotten, I've not forgotten the messy critical. You're going to find out later what it was all about from the earlier scene. You see a mess of emotions. There is, of course, joy. There's apprehension. There's a little fear and uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. I can ask very specific questions with this to you.
Okay, go for it.
I would like to know whether the subject is a vampire or a ghoul. I want to know what kind of supernatural he is. I already know that he clearly didn't die, so he's some sort of supernatural.
He is definitely human, and he does have that little sparkly bit about the aura that indicates some form of magical power.
Okay. And
I will say that one of the interesting thing is that you notice, since you had 6 successes, that not only does he have what appears to be some inherent amount of magical power, but there's also like a lingering effect on him, as if there had been a spell put on him or something like that.
That was going to be my next question, because I can ask whether the subject is under the influence of any kind of blood sorcery or other magic.
Definitely not blood sorcery. Some kind of magic you've never really encountered before, and it's fading. It's like almost gone.
Okay.
You get a kind of, when you focus on that spell, you get like a smell of fresh spring rain, of loam of earth, of trees, of cool breeze. Like there's that kind of feeling or sense that whatever spell was attached to him.
All right.
Anything else you would like to know? I had 6 successes. So.
No, I think those were the main ones on there that I guess his blood resonance wouldn't be a bad thing to know.
I will say that his blood resonance is very weak right now because he is himself also very weak. I'll give you more details in a second. I just gotta go read up the different types.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know them off the top of my head. I know what I'm missing. My beautiful little Ichi. Yeah, that's what I was missing. So whilst I pull that up and look into that, that's it. So that's all you want to. He looks down at you and he says, "How have you been? You look rather well. Certainly much better than I look at this particular point in life. You You don't look a moment older than the last time I saw you.
And the same as I've always been.
I was knew there was something different and special about you. I certainly didn't expect to find you looking like this so long after our last goodbye, but it does warm the old heart. It does warm the old heart. That's for sure. How have you been?
Been well. I think of you often.
Still traveling a lot? Still moving around all the time?
I still travel. Yeah.
Never could settle down, could you?
How did this happen, Austin?
No. Fate, bad luck. You remember, of course, Mrs. Shaw.
How could I forget her?
Yes, I was very pleased with introducing me to her daughter Ailey back then, but with time things came to light that indicated to me why she had bandied her daughter in such a cavalier fashion in front of me. Mrs. Shaw had ulterior motives, you see, and there were things I had that she wanted, and she set up in motion this plan to get her daughter into my life so that she could get to some of my secrets. And in time, they managed to do it. I'm not proud to say. I do believe that Ailey loved me after a fashion, and I loved her after a fashion. She was perhaps a little too intellectual and cerebral and detached from emotion and passion for me to love fully, but she was pleasant enough, and we had some good years together until she died. Does it hurt you to hear that?
Does it? It only hurts me that I couldn't be around you. You had chosen a different path. Not that it was her.
We all must do what we feel is right. I lived in fear that it was only a matter of time before you would have tired of me and moved on. You always seemed to be destined for such greater things than what a poor writer and illustrator like me could offer you.
A fool you are. You never did see your worth.
Definitely know that I was a fool and still am in many ways, but who is your companion here? Would you introduce me?
She's gonna stand slowly and turn to Desmond. This is Desmond. We've just only met. And you see, Desmond, there is just this overwhelming grief behind her eyes, and that she's here, but also not here at the same time. Her thoughts are far away currently. Desmond, this is Austin.
Pleasure to meet you. And he looks over at Vico. Is this the young one you spoke of? And Vico nods. Then it is very interesting to meet you. He extends his hand, and it's very frail and shaking as it reaches for yours.
And Desmond accepts it. He has been keeping eye contact with Elise through this, though he does say to Austin, "A pleasure." and then glances over at Vico, a hint of surprise. You've spoken of me?
Yes, I sensed something when last we were together, and it dovetailed somewhat with my reasons for bringing Austin here and wanting to speak to Elise. It's simple happenstance and very fortuitous for us that you happen to be here also tonight, but I will take that to be further proof that there is a connection between all four of us.
Indeed, it would seem that these synchronicities keep occurring, and they shift their attention back to Austin. I dare say you may have me at a disadvantage then. It would seem you know more about me than I know about you.
Oh, there's not much to know about me. I was at one time somewhat obscure, but celebrated in some circles. A fixture of... I wrote mostly on psychology and the occult. I did a few drawings here and there also. Published a few magazines on the topics, and I dare say the greatest achievement of mine was getting young Elise here to fall for me at a time where I had no money and no friends and nothing to offer the world but some crazy ideas in my head and a few ink sketches in a notebook. Truly, you're not missing anything. I was never much of anything.
It would seem that you downplay your achievements if you caught the attention of one such as Elise.
I have no achievements, and as for what Elise saw in me, you would have to ask Elise. I myself always wondered what that might have been and never really could figure it out. I was poor and had a head full of crazy ideas. That's all I had to offer. Wasn't it, dear?
I think she smiles down at him. He sells himself short, I assure you.
Vico says, I brought Mr. Spare here because I believe there's something hidden in me, some long buried memory. I read on his concept of atavistic resurgence and his ritual to draw out old, long-buried primal memories that can resurface and change our very being. We corresponded for a while, but he had no real interest in getting involved in magic again. And when I asked, what would it take for you to come to me and do this, he said, you. So here we are. I found the best way to get you here. I thought this painting would do the trick, and apparently it has, or unless you were coming here for other reasons. But regardless, you are here now. The painting is yours to take away if you wish. I've no need for it myself now that you've graced us with your presence. However, there is something that I need from Austin, and well, I'm hoping that with you being here now, Austin will be willing to do this for me.
What is it you need?
Mr. Vico has, he believes, memories in him that he would like to recover, and I happen to have an old ritual, which in fact was part of the secrets that I held that Mrs. Shaw wanted to get from me through her daughter. And well, she got some of them. She got some letters that I'd managed to find from this mage, but I kept some of the more interesting bits of writing, some of the rituals that I've since updated and fashioned after my own interests. Tell me, have you ever heard of a French mage called Rinaldo des Trois Échelles du Maine?
I have.
Ah.
Why do you seek him?
Oh, I do not seek him at all. I have some of his papers and some of his rituals, and one of his rituals is the one that Monsieur Vico would like me to use on him to draw out the memory. Unfortunately, my dear, I'm way past the point of being able to perform such magics, and, well, that is why you are here.
You want me to help?
If you would, I'll show you. It's not too difficult. Someone of your skills and talent should be able to do it fairly easily. I don't know exactly what Monsieur Vico wants with Mr. Desmond, but Vico says, Desmond, I have a feeling you might benefit from this. Also, when we were together, I took you down below, I felt two things. One, that the void, Apollyon himself, responded to you with some familiarity, as if you and he had touched before. And second, I felt someone else buried deep within you, perhaps attached to you, and I thought maybe there were things you might want to unearth yourself, and this might be an opportunity for you to find these things.
Desmond has been trying to keep his expression neutral, but there is undisguised hunger in his eyes. A bit of fear, but primarily eagerness even before Vico speaks. And trying not to seem too eager, they do note, I have dreamed of the place you brought me to many, many nights, and there is a part of me that longs to go back, but not as much as there is a part of me that longs to find the door hidden inside of me and open it.
Well then, very fortuitous that you have come here tonight, as I said. And there's something else. Ever since Osmond Spare started talking about the mage, ever since he named the mage Trois Échelles, you've started feeling, it started as a bit of a heat flush in your throat and the back of your neck, and now you're feeling positively dizzy, which is not something you've experienced in a very long time. But you're feeling that sense of like spiraling, and it's getting a little bit more intense with every moment that passes.
I think with that, Desmond does take a seat so as not to show that they're feeling a bit unsteady on their feet.
And as you do so, we move across the city where, in Villemard, a Dodge Charger, not playing any music whatsoever, pulls up to the Douglas Mental Health University Institute, which is a mental health research institute in Montreal, and also the place where whenever someone needs to get psychiatric help, this is where they are taken. You pull up to the building. It is quite late, so it is mostly dark at this particular point in time. There are just a few lights open here and there. You find parking easily out front. You step out and you know that, so this is in Montreal above, so you've come out from the underworld. While you were out of the underworld, obviously you were on Saint Laurent at the Beefsteak. You know that this place is run by the Malkavian Primogen, as are most, not just mental hospital, most of the hospitals in the city are run by the Malkavians. And there's nothing, I want to stress that there's nothing like strange or weird that you've heard about this place. It's not like, Arkham Asylum or anything like that. It's really just like the psychiatric hospital in Montreal, basically. As you climb up the stairs, Costa will say, have either of you ever met the Primogen, Adelaide?
I'd assume Margot has not.
I'd assume Fiona has.
Adelaide is a Malkavian, and an old Malkavian at that. She is a little different than some of the other Malkavians in that she is not tied to the church, which the Malkavians traditionally in Montreal were tied to the church. But she is kind of the prototypical, really kind of alien, strange psychologist kind of person that, you figure probably needs more help than most of her patients kind of situation. And as you come up the stairs, the door opens and you see her step out, and she has this unearthly pale skin and pale blonde hair, and her eyes are just these strange little pool of deep dark blue. And she steps out and she says, Mr. Doxiadis, Fiona Saif, am I correct?
That's right. Adelaide.
Yes. I don't think we've had the pleasure to meet, she says to Margot. She looks at you.
Margot.
Pleasure. She would totally be played by, what's her name?
Tilda Swinton.
Yeah. You're in the presence of one of the very few remaining elder vampires in Montreal. Someone who's above 200 years old, 250, 300. One of the very last ones. She says, please follow me. She turns around and you follow her. The hospital itself is dark, very quiet. You hear somewhere discreet coughing, a little bit of music from somewhere, some classical music that's playing, some footsteps. Someone says something that you can't quite make out. As you're walking, she says, is it your first visit to the Douglas? You've been here before, Miss Saif, but you, Miss Margot, have you ever been here before?
She hesitates to answer. It's my first visit here. I've been to a mental institution as this before.
I assume before you were as you are now?
And during. It's complicated.
Well, if you should ever find yourself in need of more specialized help, I'd be very happy to either help you myself or recommend someone who could do so for you. Mental health is extremely important.
I got all the mental health help that I needed back then.
You are a vampire. You can never get all the mental health that you need.
Something like that.
In any case, it would be a pleasure to help you if you so needed. But what I wanted to say was this. If it is your first time here, if you are someone who is very sensitive, you may experience certain things. There are wards here where the patients are very active mentally. And for people who find themselves to be very sensitive to that, it can be a little jarring. You might see or hear things, you might experience hallucinations, you might hear voices, things of that nature. It is best if ever you experience any sort of strange sensation like that you mention it right away so that we can ascertain whether it's simply that or whether there's something more drastic at play.
Understood.
Excellent. I'm told you're here to see Jocelyn.
I believe that's her name.
Yeah.
Well, Jocelyn came to us about 2 weeks ago. We also had another man who was here, who had the same markings that Jocelyn does. However, we had to release him, and they did not seem to know each other, at least did not acknowledge each other. Now,
What was his name?
I was not expecting that question. I should have.
Got him.
Got him. Won't be long. Francis Redmond.
Very well.
This one here is named Jocelyn Paré. Here's the very interesting thing about both Jocelyn and Francis. Neither of them were in the police computer system, and neither of them were in the health computer system either. It's as if they don't exist.
Don't exist at all. Anything when you fingerprinted them or any other sort of identification?
None whatsoever.
Do they come up even as Canadian citizens?
They don't come up at all.
Pretty convenient, isn't it?
Fuck me. Sounds like... Well, anyway.
They exhibit strange behavior ranging from extreme violence and mania to near catatonic states and everything in between. They both had the same subjects that they would talk about. And when I say talk, I mean scream out loud or mutter under their breath, talking about something having to do with the abyss, the void, the pyramid. They talked a lot about the Olympics. They talked a lot about something called the Lys Noire. They talked about being killed or hurt or imprisoned. They talked about the Arcadia. They talked about all sorts of strange things that don't seem to connect to one another.
Well, it sounds like they connect to each other, at least to them. So perhaps there's something we're missing here.
And through the mark on their arm, both of them had the same image tattooed on their arm of a black, upside down, inverted pyramid, if you will. And she pulls out a picture that she has on her cell phone, and she shows you the pictures that they took of their arms. As she does, you notice that the phone starts to glitch, Fiona, and she's like, "Ugh, damn technology."
I glance at it. Do I see the word that was tattooed at the top as well?
Servium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I don't know about you, but I could stand to meet this here, Jocelyn.
I don't know what kind of state we'll find her in. Hopefully she's in a state where you can talk to her. However, she's not been extremely responsive, even in her most calm and apparently lucid states. So I wish you luck.
Very well.
Be fine. We'll get something.
You go down along several corridors, then you go down a floor through some stairwell. There is a guard there, kind of orderly, who uses a magnetic keycard to let you in. As you go through, there's one of those security lights that's always on, like on top of that. And as the two of you go through, you notice again that they kind of flicker. Margot, you know stuff like that often happens around you. So you're not too bothered by it, but... You are in what is definitely a more secure area of the hospital. It's still not Arkham. We're still not talking a dungeon here. But these rooms definitely look more cell-like than they look like, rooms in a hospital or something like that. And eventually you are brought to this young woman who is sitting very squarely on her bed. The room that she's in is kind of that, aside from the fact that it's not a dungeon wall in the back, it's kind of that Hannibal Lecter thing of like this glass front front wall sort of thing, but the rest of the room looks, clean, and the bed looks clean, and everything looks nice, like they're not mistreated or anything like that. The woman, you can see, has quite a number of tattoos on her body, and when you approach, she is just sort of staring up in the corner of the room and just sort of rocking gently. Adelaide knocks on the window and says, Jocelyn, there are people here to see you. Are you in a talkative mood, dear? And it takes a moment, and she starts playing with her hair. And then she turns around and she looks at you. I don't know these people. I know, but they are very keen on talking to you. They might be able to get some answers about what happened to you and who you are and things of that nature. That's something you would like, isn't it? You would like to know a little bit more about your situation. And she knows, I know about my situation. I know I was dead. And now I'm no longer dead.
I put a hand on the Primogen's shoulder and I go, may I?
Oh, please.
And I get a little bit closer to the glass, being just a little wary, but coming across confidently. And I go, bonjour.
She looks at you. Salut.
Ça va?
Oui.
Mais qu'est-ce qu'il y a, Jocelyn? Pourquoi tu es là?
She continues to speak in French, but for our audience's sake. Automatic translation. I don't know. I thought you were here to tell me.
You thought I came here to tell you why you're here?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. My name is Fiona. I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions.
Okay. Well, while this is going on, Adelaide leans to you, Margot, and says, all her tattoos are very old and extremely faded, except for that one of the triangle on her arm, which appears to be very recent.
I think Margot just sort of nods and is watching Jocelyn.
Jocelyn's just staring at you, playing with her hair.
Jocelyn, you've got a number of very interesting tattoos.
They said it was okay.
Who said it was okay?
My bosses.
And who are your bosses?
They said it was okay when I took the job. They said it didn't matter. They didn't care about that sort of thing. They just wanted people who could do the job.
I understand. And what was your job, Jocelyn?
I was a scientist.
A scientist? Very well. What kind of science?
I don't think I'm allowed to say.
That's all right. We just met. Perhaps we can get to know each other.
I'm a computer scientist.
A computer scientist?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's very interesting.
Arcadia is very beautiful.
Arcadia.
So complex. It's like a human brain. It's huge, of course. It takes up many rooms, and it's got cables everywhere. And
is that where you worked, Arcadia?
No. Arcadia was where I worked, not where I worked.
Ah. I think I understand.
She turns around and faces the wall, giving you her back.
Jocelyn, I'm interested in a particular tattoo that you have. Can you tell me about this one? And I point to my own forearm.
She doesn't turn or look. She doesn't move. Just sitting there with her back to you.
That new tattoo. That fresh one.
How many medals did we win?
In the Olympics?
Hmm.
Well, it was last year. Margot, how many medals did we win?
She looks back at you like, I don't watch sports. 10. 10 medals.
This.
That's not a lot.
No.
I thought we would
she-
have done better. First Olympics in Montreal. You'd think they would
Oh.
have made more of an effort.
You mean the Olympics from the 80s? Was it 87? Or no, 88?
76.
76, okay. Jocelyn, what year do you think it is?
I don't know. Time was not something we were aware of.
So if you were to write down today's date, what would you write?
I don't know. Time was something we were not aware of. I don't know how much time has passed.
And how old are you?
31.
31. When were you born?
Fucking mad.
I'm just seeing if she's actually telling me that her age is 31 from this date.
Quick math.
1945.
1945. I think I understand a little bit more what's going on here. This computer science that you were working on, is it a bit revolutionary? Is it a newer field that you've gotten into? A bit strange to have women in there?
Yes, no one was doing that kind of
I
thing.
don't have an answer
The
to that.
Americans,
That was my
yeah, speaking of,
Alexa. That was so scary.
well then. She says, yes, no one was doing this. The American, of course, were doing some of it, and they were not sharing a lot of stuff, but even our government was not doing a lot. It was just the private sector that was doing what needed to be done.
Right. Yes. Very good. I turn to Margot. Anything else you want to know?
Jocelyn, can you answer just one more question?
She looks over her shoulder.
How do
You
you
see
feel
her
right
shiver
now?
very visibly. And when she turns back, she like shrinks in upon herself.
Margot wants to step closer to this glass.
What do you want?
How do you feel right now?
I'm afraid, cold,
Of what?
abandoned,
What are you afraid of?
the dark.
Why do you look at me like that, Margot?
She looks over her shoulder. Looks back away. It was so dark in that hole.
Margot. I'm Margot.
I was like, oh God,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Jocelyn, not all darkness has to be all that scary, you know.
The darkness in there was empty. There was nothing. Can you give me a intelligence and cult roll, please?
I would love to do that for you if you give me 2 shakes. Oh, cold. There we go. Okay. 1 success, and I'll tell you how successful that success was. I've got one black onk, which is...
Yeah, so that's just one success. It's not a lot. Do you want to dig into your night moves?
Yeah. Using my night move.
You can add. Yeah, so you can do two things. You can use a night move and roll 2 extra dice, or you can spend a willpower and re-roll 3 of your failed dice. Up to 3 of your failed dice.
Sure. Up to 3 of my failed dice.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that here.
I will tell you. So you will click a willpower point first.
Okay.
And then down at the bottom where there's the die, you will click on it and you'll get the option to add black or red die. You're going to add 3 black dice and you're going to roll it.
Okay, I see. 2, 3. That adds 2 successes.
Oh, okay, excellent. As you take a closer look at her, you see that her tattoos, it's almost as if they're moving. The ink inside of them appears to be moving slowly. And you notice they're not tattoos, they are lesions created from contact with the void.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn.
It was that witch. She
Which
killed
witch?
us all.
What was her face? What did she look like?
She doesn't say anything. She keeps her back turned to you.
Did she have a name?
She looks back over her shoulder. Go to hell.
You first.
Already did.
All right, that's enough.
Well, you got more out of her than we would manage to. That's quite good. Will you be needing her any further? Shall we keep her? Or...
I'd say keep her at least one more day. There's some shit afoot. And she clearly thinks she's in 1976 right now, so...
Well, if she is from that era, it would make sense that she's not in any of the computers since they did not have computer databases back then.
I'm so sorry. You said if she's from that era, as in this is a real person who actually thinks that they're in 1976.
Well,
Fully believes it.
I'm saying if she is, in fact, someone who was born in 1945 and disappeared somehow in 1976, there would not be records of her necessarily unless something specific had happened to her.
If she went missing.
Quick question for you. Does she look like she's in her 80s?
No, but she does talk about being kept in a dark cell for a very long time. It is very possible.
Fiona,
You have to open your mind to these things.
This void that she's talking about, Arcadia, if she was kept somewhere that's not quite normal, we'll say, maybe some sort of stasis.
Do you have a feeling that perhaps your plastic-wrapped popsicle people hanging from the ceiling might be in the same situation?
I have a sneaking suspicion.
I think we're in deeper trouble than we think.
She kind of looks around and looks at Primogen and looks back at you, Fiona, and says, "Not here."
Adelaide, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. Please, if you should need to speak with her again, simply reach out.
We will.
And Margot, I'm serious. If you ever feel the need to talk with someone who will understand, we can help you.
That is a really kind offer, Adelaide. But I did my time. There's nothing you can do for me.
There's always something we can do. We could always make you crazier.
Spoken like a true Malkavian.
And that's our fucking cue. Let's go.
Yep, let's get the fuck out of here.
You exit the place. What's your thought now? Where are you thinking of going? What are you thinking of doing?
Talking about the void and this darkness. I feel like I need another fucking drink, but I think she looks back at Fiona almost helplessly, like, the fuck do we do now?
Come back to mine. We'll regroup.
Tequila?
Got a bottle waiting for you, love.
All right, let's go.
I will say that the type of thing she described, there is amongst the La Sombra a power called Abyss Mysticism, and one of the things that Abyss Mystics are able to do is to reach a place that is in the void, and that especially those who are priests of Apollyon, who's the strange kind of religion that some La Sombras follow, have the ability to place people in those little dark cells in the void.
I have a question for you, Bleak.
Yep.
Would I happen to know somebody is Margot aware that she knows somebody with that power?
Yeah. Yeah, you went there.
Yeah, okay. I think, Fiona, you see Margot pull her phone out and she sends a text message, and it doesn't say anything other than, can we talk?
Back in the penthouse at the Argent, you see Vico's phone dings, and he picks it up and he reads the message and he answers something and then closes it. And we will go on break shortly here, but before we do, you've been talking with Spare and Vico, and what Spare has been explaining to you, and he has been showing you the ritual, and he talks about, and as he's talking about this, Desmond, that sense of vertigo that you've been experiencing gets more and more intense. And Spare gives you a little bit of background on this mage Toisechel, who was in Montreal in the 1700s, and amongst a bunch of other things that he'd done was that he had formed a group around him. He had this concept of 7 principles that he called. He believed that there were 7 things beyond what our normal senses could feel or experiment that were gifts from God. These 7 aspects, as he called them, were this obsession that this mage had of finding ways to reach those things. So they were eroticism, magic, light, darkness, logic, passion, and death. And he said that the ability that some people had to experience these fully was a gift from God, and that it was our own sort of penance that we were blocked off from a lot of these, that our senses were not able to fully embrace and sort of comprehend these. And as he's talking about these things, these 7 principles, and he talks about the 7 followers that Toisechel had gathered around him, you're starting to feel that kind of dizziness, but it's also probably ringing some bells for you, Elise, with the number 7 and the 7 people and things like that. And you're starting to see these kind of strands and elements that kind of tie together. And he talks about how Toisechel had been trying to find this way to elevate him and the people that followed him to a higher state of being, a kind of state of peace and quietude that was, closer to God and all that. And so his ritual kind of plays on that, and he shows you sort of how to do it and how to set it up, and you think that it's probably feasible to carry this ritual through. And he says to you, the ritual will, sorry, he's an old man. The ritual will, which is called drawing of the triad, will draw what I call the atavistic resurgence. It will draw primordial memories that are buried deep within the psyche of whoever sits in the ritual circle. I am not unaware of the special circumstances surrounding your state of being. As he looks at the three of you, he's like, I've had some discussions with Vico, and he has told me that it is a crime amongst your people to reveal too much, and well, I'm close to death anyway, so it matters very little. I believe that at a certain point, this mage, Trois-Echelles, Rinaldo de Trois-Echelles, became as you are now. His group was disbanded shortly thereafter, but he never stopped searching for means of elevating his state of being. And I feel that his research might benefit you even in your immortal state that you are now. And so I am willing to give you the research that I have and to work on it with you if you wish. Would you be able to work with me again, my dear?
Yeah, I could do that.
What about you, Desmond? Are you interested in participating in this little exercise?
I'm here, aren't I?
And you, Vico, are you ready? Like, I've been searching for this for several years now. Very well. And he reaches into his little bag that's on his wheelchair, and he pulls out a bunch of papers and he starts unrolling them, and he shows you, Elise, you will have to draw this on the floor. Use chalk.
Do the manuscripts, are they old or do they look like reproductions, copies?
Yeah, no, they're definitely reproductions that he did. Like, you recognize his own handwriting.
I think she's going to take the page that he hands her, and when he does, she looks up to him. Where did you copy these from? Do you have the originals?
Most of the originals were stolen by Mrs. Shaw.
She splays her hand across the paper and traces the symbols with her fingertip. And I'm going to be really annoying.
You gonna do your aspects thing?
Yeah, she's going to cast Spirit Touch on this. She wants to look into this a little more.
Go for it.
Oh man, this is real risky.
Mm-hmm.
Could I use like a night move or something to
You
get
can use a night move to get
success on rouse?
two extra dice.
I can't use it for rouse.
For?
Rouse. My rouse
For
check.
rouse? No.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, you're getting hungrier?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in problematically hungry territory.
Are you at 3 or at 4?
I'm at 3.
As you reach out and call on your blood to give you the power to see beyond what is in front of you, you feel the beast start to stir inside of you. And it's kind of like, you know, when you wake up in the morning and your dog or your cat is still sleeping, but then you try to be careful and not make a lot of noise, and all of a sudden their head pops up and they look at you. That's exactly what just happened in your gut.
That's cool, because everybody in the room also sees the physical change in me as I begin to wither and shrivel before your eyes, looking like I'm decaying in real time, turning into the corpse that I should be. But she doesn't seem to mind so much in present company. She's so focused on this thing she's touching that she wants to know more about, that I think she definitely feels the beast, but she doesn't even realize her hand as she's touching this piece of paper, the sunken in skin.
Your skin now the same color as the paper.
Yep. Yeah.
Go ahead and make your roll.
Yep. JD, for reference, I am horrifying looking. That's 3 successes. Oh no, I'm fine. Okay, yep, that's 3 successes.
I thought it was a.
I got a little nervous there for a minute, but we're fine. Don't worry.
Okay, excellent. 3 successes. As you touch the papers and reach out with your senses to try and get more out of it, we're going to take a break.
Rude, Blake. Rude.
This is gonna go poorly.
Bleak blocking. Shit about fuck.
And on
I
that
hope
note,
we came in on that. Hey, Bleak, how's your head?
No complaints.
Thanks, Tato. Tato got it.
You can't leave that joke hanging.
You can't. You really can't.
That's the fucking joke.
I think I'm dying.
Get the joke.
God damn it.
I think we're all fired.
Hey, everybody.
I don't give a shit about fuck.
Welcome to Folk and Myth,
I'm
where shit happens. We have returned from our break to bring you the full chaos. You just saw a window open there very, very shortly, just for a short moment on the green room, and hopefully you're all as scarred as I am. Thank you very much. I don't know what's going on. Before the break, a whole bunch of stuff was happening, and I was going to recap it, but at this point, I think I'm just going to move forward. You discovered that there was a woman who was like your victims, that she seems to believe that she's from 1976 or something to that effect, or has been prisoner somewhere. And you have figured out that perhaps the person you need to talk to is an abyss mystic, and you happen to know one, Margot. So you texted your good friend Vico, who texted back, by the way, yes, I'm hosting tonight. You may as well come. Just leave it hanging. Just leave it hanging. Just leave it hanging. Just talk about it after the game. And meanwhile, back at Vico's place, where our friend Desmond and Elise have been talking about rituals and such, and have discovered that there is possibly a link between them and Vico and Austin Osmond Spare, who's an old mystic that Elise used to date when he was younger. Not necessarily when she was younger, but Elise is now very hungry. And one of the side effects of Elise being very hungry is that Elise starts to resemble a corpse. So the stunning, gorgeous, beautiful woman that you normally see is now basically one of the puppets from Nightmare After Christmas or something. There's the sunken cheeks, the sallow skin, she looks like a corpse, basically. How's Desmond feeling about that?
Desmond is concerned. Their logic at this point is that this happened when Elise touched the paper. And so he's a bit worried about the fact that this is happening, but he is watching the others in the room to see if they are panicking, because he is not sure this is a situation to panic in, because it could be normal.
I think Vico arches an eyebrow, and Austin Osmond Spare smiles and reaches out and runs a finger along Elise's sunken cheek and says, "As beautiful as ever, dear."
Okay, now Desmond is convinced that this was a spell that he put on the paper to age Elise to where he is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she went from looking like Creep to looking like Bleak. Thanks, Reese. How do you ban someone from chatting again? You get the text back, Margot?
Okay. Yeah, Margot will send a message back. OMW.
What?
On my way.
Okay.
You've never used.
Yeah, no, I heard LMW, so I wasn't sure what LMW was, but
Little Bones moving way.
Little Bones making waves on the internet because you're a micro celebrity.
Micro celebrity. Yeah, she'll text back that she's on the way.
As you're doing that, Costa is still driving. He wants to know where you want to be dropped off.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
The hotel that Vico lives in is underground.
Yes.
Yeah, is underground. Okay. She'll look over to Fiona briefly and say, do you mind taking a trip with me before we go back to your place?
Anything you need, chick?
I might have some answers for us regarding underground.
Home sweet home.
You catch that, Costa?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
She also is going to text Vico back really quickly and say, I'm bringing a friend.
And he writes back, what's the saying? The more the merrier.
That was a lot to text. You could have just said the more the merrier.
I'm a very literal person.
Okay.
Fiona just glances over and is like, are you flirting?
Kind of. Don't worry about it. The less questions actually you ask Fiona about this situation, probably the better.
Well, you know that makes me want to ask like a million fucking questions, right?
Do you want these answers or not?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. Yeah.
And I like platonic, like intimate friend link hands on the seat.
She kind of just like puts her head over on your shoulder and sort of closes her phone and tucks it back away.
And when you do this, your phone dings, Fiona. Ding.
Yes.
You've received a link to a Dropbox.
Oh, fuck me. I don't like that. Okay. Who's this message from?
It's from one of your numbers, like someone that you know that sent you this.
Is it one of the birds?
No, but it would be like someone from your organization.
All right, I open it.
You see the point of view in the room at the Biftec from the security camera. You see footage throughout the evening. It's sped up in places And every time that Margot is in the shot, the camera starts to fritz and she disappears from it, and the camera fritzes out and then it comes back. And then it works perfectly fine. And every time Margot shows up, it does that. We don't see your meeting with Costa because you made sure that you weren't in line of sight of but throughout the evening, you see that happen often enough that it's kind of, it stands out.
I think Fiona watches it through once, scrubs it back, and watches it through again, and kind of speeds up and slows down and traces over Margot's image a few times.
A lot of times she disappears and you can clearly see that stuff around her keeps happening, and then the camera fritzes and then it comes back and she's not there, but then she appears and it fritzes again. Kind of like the camera can make up its mind if it's seeing Margot or not.
I kind of, while she's resting her head on my shoulder, I turn and I look and go, "Hey, babes, when we get a moment alone, I have a question for you."
She sort of rears back and looks at you. All right.
I just want to make sure that there's no chuckle fucks around.
Yeah. Chuckle fucks. And she is looking directly at the back of Costa's head.
He's singing a John Denver tune.
Fiona clambers forward and slams the button on the radio again.
You head down towards the Argent, and we will deal with that momentarily. I just want to get something done before you guys show up there, and then you can all be together like the big messy family you are. Back in the apartment, you have drawn on the floor the ritual as described by Spare. We're going to make some rolls here in a minute, but before we do that, you had made a Spirit's Touch roll. Now, can you read to me the description of what Spirit's Touch gives you? Or whatever the power that you used on the paper?
By touching an inanimate object or the ground at a location, the vampire can sense the emotional residue left by those who have handled that object or visited the location in the past. The user gains insight into not only that person, but also what was done and under what circumstances. While rarely crystal clear, the information often provides leads impossible to gain from regular forensics and deduction.
You get a sense of time passing. You get a sense of Austin growing old and sick. You get a sense of someone caring for him. You get a sense of him continuing to work and the person who is caring for him feeling guilt. You get a sense of things disappearing, and in the end you get a sense of sorrow and guilt and not a little bit of affection still. And then you feel the solitude of Austin.
All right. She draws.
He says, as you're drawing, wait a second. You have to draw the symbol here. The ones to undergo the atavistic resurgence will sit at the center. Both of you, Vico and Desmond. It is important that you remove all your clothes, jewels, any earthly adornments, anything that you have that is not linked to yourself or your past might interfere with the emergence of the primal memory. Early in the process, you will feel some surface memories return. you should focus on them and call to them. It will make them easier to grow and to apprehend, to comprehend. The ritual, as Toisechel built it, called for a complete cleansing of the body with holy water, but that is, of course, hogwash. I have found that sexual stimulation of either or both the participants, however, may help the ritual by drawing repressed emotions, which might help unlock memories. Elise, as the ritualist, must be ready to seize any tendril of thoughts that might arise. I would suggest, if we have it, burning sage, ashwagandha, and gotu-kola to help with this particular process. So he tells you all of this as you're working and setting up the whole ritual. What's going to happen is that you will be able to each perform a role for the ritual, since you're both participating in it. You will first do a rouse check. You will then...
This is fine.
I'm sweating.
It will take 45 minutes to cast a ritual. You will then do a resolve plus oblivion for JD and plus blood sorcery test for Elise. We will then count successes both of you have, and you need a base number of successes for the ritual to work, and then every additional successes will reveal a further thing. So, you set up for this ritual. Do you remove all clothing and jewelry and other such things?
Desmond does, which means this is the first time Austin and Elise see his full face, because he's been wearing the half mask the rest of this time. Vico has seen Desmond's face before, though he is one of few who has.
Vico will also very without hesitation undress, remove all jewelry, everything that he has. He will sit at the center of the triangle. My friends, you begin the ritual. Go ahead and make some rolls.
Well, I found my rouse, so I'm at 4 hunger now.
Excellent. I love it.
Bit problematic.
Yeah, at 5, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I got a success.
You son of a bitch. And then I'm rolling resolve and
blood sorcery.
Blood sorcery. Okay.
And you're rolling resolve and
Oblivion.
Oblivion.
Yep. All right.
Does anyone want to do anything for extra dice or spend a night move, or how do you want to do this? I will say your chaos magic, because this is Osmond Spare's ritual and he was into chaos magic, so I'll say that your chaos magic specialization in your occult, I will count it on your blood sorcery, so you can, if you roll 10s, you can re-roll them.
If I roll 10s, I can re-roll them?
Yeah, so any dice that comes up as as an onk, you can, after the roll, re-roll and get extra successes.
I got 3 successes, but it is a messy critical.
Oh. Do you wish to avoid it with a night move?
I think so, yes, since I have been hoarding them.
Are you sure?
You know what, Bleak? Have fun. Have fun. If I make this a messy critical, please have fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's my gift to you.
Thanks. I appreciate you so much, JD. Elise?
I have 3 successes.
Okay. Well, so the good news is you have enough to actually for the ritual to work.
Okay.
The other two, you're on your way there, and as soon as this ritualistic scene is done, you're going to arrive at the best possible moment.
For sure, dude.
Am I naked too? Did I have to get naked for this, or just?
No, you don't. Just them.
Okay.
I mean, you can.
I feel like Elise does.
Yeah,
I think
please.
she's like, oh, we're getting naked. Oh, like.
Of course, Elise does.
Yeah, I think she just kind of like follows along and is like, well, this will help. I'm sure.
Austin.
She's horrifying looking naked right now. She's not hot
Austin
naked.
seems
Elise.
to think that you're pretty hot.
I bet he does.
You burn the sage, the ashwagandha that go to Kola. You inhale them. You sense the memories start to return. Elise, you can almost see these memories as little wisps and tendrils of smoke that arise around the two subjects at the center of the triangle of Desmond and Vico, and you start pulling at them and you start guiding them towards them, and the other two, you're getting these surface memories and you start pulling at them and kind of opening them up and pulling them to you.
And Blake, I do just need to clarify, it was noted that sex could enhance this. So are Vico and Desmond recreating some of the night that they spent together before?
I mean, if you give Vico the little side eye, Vico is totally down.
Oh, more than a side eye. Desmond leans in to bring
Full
him
on?
into a kiss.
So he will absolutely lean in and kiss you also. And Elise, what I will say is that this might actually activate your merit.
I don't. This might be taking it too far, so I would just be quiet. But
okay.
Will it?
I mean, does she get aroused seeing this?
Yeah, of course she does. This is right in her wheelhouse. She is like down to clown right now.
Then go ahead and roll 2 extra dice.
All right, beautiful. Let's do it.
The place is gonna smell like Thai food when you show up.
Hey, that's 1 more success. So that's 4 total successes.
As you start doing a ritual, you see that without any sort of hesitation whatsoever, and almost like they've done this before, Vico and Desmond embrace each other, and within moments are going full on at it. The energy that this really sort of enhances everything. You start feeling the arousal inside of yourself, and you're used to this, and this is how you understand magic. And you learned this aspect of magic from Austin Osman Spare, because he believed that in order to open yourself up to magic to the utmost, you had to be able to reach repressed parts of your mind, and one of the ways to do that was through sexual arousal, to kind of put yourself in a state that was so primal where you reacted to things on a more instinctual level, on a more primal level, and it allowed you to kind of reach for these places in your mind where magic could kind of have a stronger hold. And that's why you've become an adept of and Fletcher practices this also, so that's why you become an adept of sex magic. It allows you to find those hidden places inside of you that open up the ways for magic a lot more, and kind of ritualizes things and helps you kind of focus. So this is right in your wheelhouse. And as you are getting into this ritual, you find the power of it kind of opening up. You feel you start feeling that kind of strange call in the blood that kind of unites all 3 of you as you're participating in this. You start seeing things of your own Elise, you start seeing connections being made. The idea of the 7 and the 7 that were supposed to follow you. You know that one of them is dead now, but you're kind of getting like this strange sense of like these things kind of repeating themselves. As you fall deeper into this ritual, Desmond, you start remembering things. You start remembering coming to Montreal in the early 1700s. You remember coming from Ireland before the big migration in the 19th century of Irish people in the very early days of Montreal. You remember arriving here and seeing just this fort where people were doing fur trade. And you remember your name. Aiden Joseph. You were a priest. You were always fascinated and curious about the more esoteric world, and you fell in with a Frenchman who called himself a mage. His name was Rinaldo de Trois Echelles du Maine. His talk of elevating the human soul, of reaching a stage of peace and quietude, spoke to you. You who had carried a troubled mind your whole life for reasons that right now remain obscured, opaque. Soon you were part of 7 gathered around him, each one representing a principle, as he called it, a state of being, gifts of God, really, that were discernible through a special sense he called faculté. You remember the 7 senses: eroticism, magic, light, darkness, logic, passion, death. You remember your role was passion. You remember twins, Gemma and Elspeth Wycombe. You remember a mage, Danielle Vuille. You remember a grey nun tied to eroticism. You remember a witch tied to death. Her name was Calomé de Troyes. For a few years you studied with them. The group all becoming lovers and study partners and mentors and students in turn. All was well. Until I'm not going to read the rest. I'm going to give it to you and you can decide what you say of the rest after. You are unaware of how much time has passed. You come to, the 3 of you spent lying on the floor, drained from the magic, from everything. Elise, during the ritual, during the increased in emotion and the sexual fervor, Desmond and Vico bit each other and the blood flowed. I'm going to need you, Elise, to give me a willpower roll. You're going to roll a number of dice equal to your willpower. This was your messy critical. As the smell of fairly potent kindred blood fills the room in the midst of this passion, in the midst of this heightened state of awareness and of being, in the midst of this increased arousal in you, blood is spilled and your beast roars.
Who's messy critical?
You got a messy critical?
No, I didn't ever get
I
a
did.
messy critical.
No, Desmond got it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
JD got a messy critical on his roll.
Well, that's one success on those rolls.
One success on the willpower roll.
Yeah.
Do you wish to spend a willpower roll to keep control for the scene? Because right now you're about to lose control.
No, I don't want to spend anything.
Downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no worries.
Margot and Fiona, you've arrived at the Argent. As you walk into the white antiseptic lobby with the very uncomfortable but very chic-looking furniture, again, the place is empty, but you hear sounds coming from other places. There's a cocktail bar certainly somewhere. You hear piano being played, low conversations, glasses clinking. And behind the little lectern is the concierge, clearly a ghoul as you approach. May I help you?
I'm here to see
That was
Vico.
a bit low. May I help you?
Here to see Vico. He's expecting me.
They start tapping away on their little tablet. Might I have your name?
Margot.
Ah, yes. Monsieur Vico left a note that you should be allowed upstairs. Please. The elevator. Just down the hall.
As she starts walking, I'm assuming Fiona is following behind her or with her.
Just keeping an eye and seeing if I can glance down at the tablet and see if anything's glitching out around Margot as she walks by.
The answer would be yes.
I go, interesting. Right, love?
And once they're in the elevator, she's going to look at Fiona and say, look, whatever preconceived notions that you have about what you think you know, about us, our type, shit can be weird.
Right, I mean, basically, so long as I'm not walking into some sort of blood orgy, I think it'll all be fine.
That would be really weird. I don't think that
Would be weird
that would
even
happen
for us. I mean, we lived through the 70s in New York, love. Like, fuck.
I would honestly be kind of upset if I wasn't invited to a blood orgy for
You know, I actually would be too, as the lift is like going up.
I think that honestly, I would be really offended that Vico didn't invite me to a blood orgy. I think that would be something that would benefit both of us.
Is there
honestly.
a little something there with Vico?
She gives you a long look like, stop asking questions.
You know I'm gonna keep asking questions, love.
Yeah, well, you know...
Don't maybe get that bottle of overpriced tequila I got at my place.
Sometimes an itch has to be scratched. There's nothing emotional attached to it.
That kind of itch has got to be scratched. Well, love. Well.
Don't worry about it, okay? Let's just focus on not walking into a blood orgy that we weren't invited to, because that would be
honestly,
really
I'd be pretty
upsetting.
offended at this point.
Be really upset. I may actually even
I feel
cry.
like both of
The
us
elevator
are
doors
assets in this.
open. You see a long, white corridor with thick white carpeting, a couple of doors. You know which door you're going to, Margot. You lead on. As you approach the door, could the two of you give me wits and awareness rolls, please?
And awareness. Wits, and awareness.
I got 3 successes, but I got 3 successes, but I got 1 of the scary skull hunger die. So I don't think it's a best.
It doesn't mean anything if
It
you
means
get
nothing,
successes, right? You
Okay.
only get a bestial failure if you failed totally.
I did get 1 onk with the 2 little pips, but I don't think that Oh, well, that does count as a messy critical. Is it one or two of those?
No,
No.
you have to have one red onk with the 2 pips and one black onk with the 2 pips for it to be a messy critical.
Got it.
I got 5 successes.
I got 3 successes.
Both of you smell blood.
Oh,
Kindred
that's
blood.
interesting.
A fair amount of kindred blood.
Okay, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to make any speculation.
This is your boy. If he's off doing some weird shit, then that's on you. You know, I've got nothing to do with it. If you need muscle, I got muscle.
I'm just saying, what are the chances of there actually being a blood orgy? We were just talking
Honestly,
about
right
that.
now, with what I'm smelling, I think it actually might be pretty high.
I don't know. Should I knock?
I think this might just be an enter situation. I don't think we knock. I don't know that anybody's going to be decent enough, or their hands are going to be dry enough to turn the knob at this point.
Fair enough. Margot opens the door. She just, or tries to at least.
The apartment is all black. The walls are like black glass. The floor is this black marble. The furniture is very similar to the one downstairs. It's very uncomfortable looking, but very chic. There's beautiful art hanging on the walls. You both will notice one painting in particular at some point, probably not up front, but at some point you will both notice a particular painting that is on an easel, the subject of which is a woman dressed in red who looks a lot like the woman who is currently busy drinking the blood of Desmond. You see, as you approach, the 3 of them naked, covered in blood. You see an old man in the corner, cowering in fear. The woman that you see, and I think you saw her with Desmond when you left the place earlier.
Would they recognize me, though, because I look like a corpse right now?
That's true enough.
I do not look like that woman in the picture.
That's true enough. That's a great point, because as you walk in, there is this
So fucked up.
desiccated, fucked up old corpse. Well, actually, hold on. Yeah, so you see that. You see this desiccated old corpse that is drinking straight out of Desmond. And you watch as she drinks, and it's total Nosferatu, kind of like this suction thing. And as she does, you can see that she's starting to change a little bit. The skin is getting a little better looking, tauter. The roundness of the body comes back. The color of the skin comes back. What do you do?
Do I see Vico anywhere?
Yeah, he's in there.
There's a
There's a blood orgy
amalgamation
going on, and
yeah.
someone's draining somebody else.
I think Margot looks to Fiona and say, "We should have fucking bet on it."
I would have fucking won. Did I not say I would have fucking won?
You would have won. Hey.
While this is happening, Fiona's reaching in and like knuckling up with those brass knuckle dusters on there, and it's just like,
Yeah, I think that I think Margot's grabbing onto the asp.
Vico sort of turns out, and you can see that he's like kind of lost a little bit in like the whole ritual and everything, and he kind of rolls away and he blinks and he looks up at you and Margot, I forgot you were coming.
We spoke less than 30 minutes ago.
I know a lot
apparently
has
he didn't
happened.
forget.
A lot has happened. And he looks over his shoulder and he sees that Elise is freaking draining Desmond. And he's like, and he reaches over and he starts trying to pull Elise off of Desmond. And you can see that he's panicking. Like, this is not what is supposed to be happening.
Fiona's gonna beeline and wrench like full Nelson Elise off of Desmond.
Let's do a strength roll, would you? Opposed strength check. So you're going to do strength and brawl, both of yous.
Are you laughing because it's bad or because it's good?
So I only have 1 dice total to roll there, and I'm at a 2 dice penalty. So we're gonna go ahead and say that you peel me right off like a fucking loose band-aid, baby girl.
Because I was about to roll 7 dice.
Yeah, no, I am not built for strength. That's
With
for sure.
Barely an effort, you grab her and you pull her off of Desmond. Her fangs rip this huge hole in his throat. I'm going to. Anybody else at 3 hunger or more?
Oh, let's find out. No, I'm only at 2.
No, I'm
Okay.
I'm
Your
Gucci.
beast stirs. There's so much kindred blood spilled all over the place. Like you're all like whole, like you're at a pizza buffet, and there's really the best looking pizza you've ever seen around. Like it's like, oh fuck, I could have some pizza.
I feel like I'm locking Elise out, and I'm just like, easy, kitty, easy going. All right, it's okay.
Elise, this person you don't know is holding on to you with extreme strength. You are feeling better having fed. You want more. Like you feel yourself pulling, trying to get to more. Although your head's kind of clearing up and you're starting to come to, you can't move. Like you might as well be like encased in cement.
How many points of hunger did I get back?
Well, I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
What's your blood potency?
2.
Feeding on another vampire slakes 1 hunger per hunger inflicted on the victim. Victim of 2. What's your blood potency, JD?
What is my blood potency? Let me 2.
All right. So you heal 2 hunger, Elise, for every hunger that you cause on JD. Right?
Okay.
This is what we're gonna do. How long did it take for them to come and pull you off of him? So you definitely get at least 1.
1 hunger.
Yeah. Now, no, sorry. You get at least 1. JD, you take 1 hunger, and Elise, you slake 2 hungers.
Okay.
Because his blood is potent.
Beautiful.
And now I'm going to ask you, Elise, to make another willpower roll.
Okay. I would be down to 2 hunger right now, so you know.
Does that put you up to 3, Desmond?
I am still at 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna use a fucking nightmare.
Wow,
roll
yeah,
2
yeah,
more
yeah.
dice because I got a 0 on that willpower roll.
Is she?
Oh wait, actually, I didn't roll enough dice because apparently I'm a dummy too.
Okay, and you can also spend 1 willpower.
I can spend a willpower.
You can spend a willpower, and it will basically allow you to regain control for the scene, which will.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and spend a willpower. I did get 1 success. I don't know if that would give me control back.
How much hunger does that put you at? No, you needed as many willpower.
I'm down to 2.
You would have
I'm down
needed
to
2 to. You would need as many as
Okay.
your hunger to.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and spend the willpower.
Okay, spend a willpower.
And I will also, in this whole process, just so you know, if you want to narrate this in at all, I do return back to the swan. I'm no longer the crone.
Yeah, as you're holding her, Fiona, you see her cheeks fill up and the skin becomes beautiful again, and within moments you are holding someone with a 5-point merit in beauty. So like it's stunning compared to the crone that was there a minute ago. It's literally like in the Snow White cartoon, the difference between
Well, little bunny rabbit.
I think she's just slack in your arms at this point, like totally given in and like submitting to your strength.
Fiona would adjust the grip and like do kind of like a scoop underneath, but like keep her hands locked, like a cat that's misbehaving, like tying,
Yeah.
making sure she can't get her wrists free, but like holding her one-armed that way.
Vico moves to Desmond. Desmond, you're starting to come to, like, the intensity of the memories coming back, the intensity of the arousal, the intensity of the feeding on you, like, all of that has left you, like, knocked out. Like, you're drained, you're just completely out of anything. You're just this wet towel right now. You're just this total wreck. And Vico moves over to you and kind of picks you up. He's like, all right, you need blood. I have blood if you need it.
How about you get us all a fucking drink and maybe put some fucking pants on?
I brought a friend.
I think there is an expression of almost ecstasy on Desmond's face, and I think Vico would recognize this emotion that is filling Desmond is more than Vico has seen from them in either of their two experiences together. And I think all he says is, if you think blood is best, yes.
He'll nod, he'll get up, and he'll sort of look around a little bit, kind of lost himself for a second, and then we'll head towards the refrigerator and start pulling out bags of blood. He's naked and dripping blood on the ground, and he's just pulling bags of blood out of the over his shoulder. He says, nice to see you again, Margot. Sorry that I didn't think it was going to degenerate like this.
I'm gonna stop you there, Vico. Shut the fuck up and get yourself together.
Fair enough. He will bring out blood for everyone to have a little bit of a drink. He will get some towels and whatnot. The old man is still in the corner, like, kind of like staring at all of this, and he's got this mixture of, like, you know, rapt wonder on his face, but also a lot of fear. Let's go around and just see what everyone does. All right, so let's start with you, Desmond. What are you doing at this point as, like, things are kind of winding down?
Desmond is taking a bit to come back to himself after that entire experience, and I think the others, anyone who is looking, would notice that there are some moments where he's holding the bag of blood as though he doesn't know what to do with it, like just kind of staring at it and trying to figure out what the next move is. And it is not the reaction of a kindred. It is the reaction of someone who does not seem used to consuming blood.
Elise?
I think Elise looks to Fiona, and you've got her, like, wrists kind of like above her head holding her situation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's pretty short. She's small and petite. She looks to Fiona. She is butt naked during this. Would you release me?
Fiona just stares back at her for a moment.
And I think, looking more closely at who's holding her, I know you. Huh. Don't you go by the wolf?
That's right.
Oh. I've got some information you might like to hear. Perhaps you release me and I'll tell you.
Fiona just almost tenderly tightens slightly around her wrists and lifts up so her arms are fully extended. She goes, how about you tell me now?
You can try to torture it out of me. I'm afraid you won't get far, though.
I'm not
Besides, I'm not going to hurt you or anybody else. What you came in on was She like looks over at Desmond with pity in her eyes. A mistake, I assure you.
A mistake.
I was a bit hungry.
I suppose we've all been there in one way or another, naked or not. I see you make one wrong move. I'll split you in half the bad way.
Of course. I enjoyed it.
Good
Heard
girl.
about you.
That's a good lass. And she just releases her hands.
And when she releases her, she's going to very carefully walk over to Austin because he's cowering in a corner, afraid right now.
Yeah.
And she's going to like kneel down to his eye level. And I would like to use my power compel, which thank fuck does not require a rouse check. That is 5 successes, and she's going to very quietly whisper to him, "There's no need to be afraid. Relax, my darling," and just kind of stroke his cheek.
He sort of folds in and just sort of leans into you. I never imagined something so primal. It was beautiful, yet so horrific.
Shh. How about you take a little nap now, darling?
What is Margot doing?
Margot is helping Vico clean up. And she's very close to him. And she leans into his ear. I count on you to keep your shit together.
My shit is very much together. It's more together than it's been in a long time. This was something that needed to happen for answers to be found, but now I haven't yet.
Yeah, well, I've got more fucking questions for you.
I've come to the right place at the right time. Seems that's what we're doing tonight. Answering questions.
I need you to take me back.
Easy enough to do.
And I need to know certain assurances. You're not involved in any fuckery upstairs, are you?
I'm gonna need you to be a little bit more specific than that, but I think that within the grander scheme of things and the way you said fuckeries, I would assume that it's very dire things, and I'm not involved in anything dire, no.
I met a woman today who believes it's still 1976 and shows signs of darkness.
Should be been put in an oubliette?
I think.
And why would this matter?
Bigger fish to fry. We'll talk about it in depth later. But there's a problem. And it has to do with the problem I told you about earlier, which also has to deal with my friend's problems.
Well, let's talk about it.
You're not stalking me, are you?
Stalking you?
Yeah, you wouldn't be stalking me, leaving me weird messages.
No.
Okay, good.
Have you been receiving weird messages?
Something about being somebody's shadow bride. It's a lot.
Are you okay?
Not really, to be honest. Are you?
I am now.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And she sort of glances back over at Fiona, and some of this shit is going pretty far up, but selfishly, I also don't want to die. So.
Nothing selfish about that. Come. let's see the others and get everything out. And what is Fiona doing during this time?
She's just released Elise from her clutches and is kind of eyeing her warily. She doesn't like the idea of people knowing her name unless she's given it to them. She's got a reputation in the underground, but like she goes by the wolf because she doesn't want people to be able to recognize her. So she's very wary of Elise right now. She's a little concerned about Desmond and is kind of eyeing him out of the corner of her eye. And I imagine as she kind of like moves about the space, she pulls out her phone when she's a little bit close to Vico and Margot, just to glance at the screen to see what's happening.
You notice you have a message.
I go, oh, fuck. Click it.
You click it while you're standing next to the other two. You're finding the reception's really bungled and the video is really kind of grainy and you're having difficulty playing it. It keeps telling you that.
I cross over to the window so I can hear it better.
You cross over to the window. There's a video sent to you directly and to the main email address of your office. When you play the video, you see that it's from the point of view of Chantal and Bindu as they are approaching a van that is parked. It looks like a surveillance van that is parked outside of a construction site, and they're approaching slowly. It's like, I think that's the one that was at the refinery tonight. And the two of them are approaching, and they kind of stealthily move forward, and then they wait a little bit, and then Chantal says, "Do you think it's clear? Do you think we should get it closer?" He's like, "Well, yeah, we got to, right? I mean, we got to do it. It doesn't look like there's anything. Maybe we can just get a couple of shots of the inside of it and see what's there." And as they approach, you can see that there's this strange sort of shield emblem on the side of the van. And as they get close to it, they have their phones out and they're trying to sort of see inside. The windows are tinted and they're not able to see anything. And they go kind of around the vehicle, and he's like, I don't feel we should break into it. They probably have some kind of security system. Yeah, I think so. And then they get around to the side, and suddenly the back doors open, and you can see on the video two figures dressed in some sort of paramilitary kind of armor and clothes. They have these strange guns, and Chantal and Bindu start screaming and turn around and start running. And then the video is them running, and you hear him say, send it to her, quick, send it to her. And then you hear, then you get, and then and Chantal's screaming, and she kind of turns, and you see that Bindu's down, and the two guys are walking very slowly behind her, and one of them is lifting out a gun, and she's like, I'm gonna try to say, I'll try to, and then she falls to the ground, and then the phone hits on the ground, and then it stays there for a moment, and then it gets picked up, and you're looking in the face of someone with this black face mask with this strange sort of colored glass over the eyes. And you see him look over, and you hear they're talking to each other inside their helmets, but you can't pick up exactly what they're saying. And then you pick up, yeah, send it, we'll find out where they are. And then the video goes dead.
Fuck. And she throws the phone at the wall.
The fuck?
You see Fiona just going over with like shit kicker boots on, just smashing the face of the phone, and then picking it up and going into the kitchen and throwing it into the garbage disposal and just running it.
That's when you remember it had been CC'd to your head office.
She stops the disposal and just like leans against the sink.
Are we compromised, Fiona?
Chicky, we might be fucked.
And on that note, my friends, I believe this is a good place to end tonight.
Fuck.
Everybody okay? Everybody good?
I don't want to die. I'm scared as fuck now.
You don't gotta be scared, Bones. Everything's gonna be alright.
I specifically told you I'm supposed to win at everything. Just kidding.